Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Noble, and this is my presentation on the topic of big data. To start, let me introduce you all to the topic with a quote from Weatherhead University professor Gary King. There is a big data revolution. The big data revolution is that now we can do something with the data. Since the beginning of computing, there has always been tons of data, and it is constantly growing at an exponential rate. Today is not any different, except for the increased amounts of items that are giving us all of this data, and that now we have the ability to understand and benefit from what the raw data is showing us. The way I see big data is like this. It is as if we've been given a warehouse full of items. Some of these may be previously known to us, but the majority of them are foreign. We have yet to determine their utility to us. There is no guarantee that we will need or even like some of the findings, but they still exist for us to assign meaning to and analyze. In my presentation, we will discuss the basics of what big data is and where it comes from, how correct is this data that we are analyzing, and the benefits that we may receive from our analyses in fields such as healthcare, business, public safety, and agriculture. Lastly, we will discuss whether or not we have any responsibility when it comes to the sharing of this data and our findings. So what is big data? It is a seemingly endless supply of raw information and potential knowledge in the form of data sets. Where do these data sets come from? Most of them come from three possible sources. These are social data, machine data, and transactional data. Social data is mainly associated with social media. Just to demonstrate how active the world is on social media, there are over 7 billion people on the planet. 3 billion of them are on the internet, or have internet access at least, and 2 billion are actively participating in social media. Machine data is commonly referred to as the Internet of Things, which is the incorporation of processors and sensors in an increasing amount of devices. These devices measure and share data. This data that is shared, that goes to big data. Transactional data is the business data that is often internally oriented, but this can also be market-based. Fortunately, data cannot lie, but people can. The data itself is an unbiased series of numbers that are interpreted by humans who do possess these biases. The role of humans, although complicated, is one that is very necessary. We are often better than computers at finding patterns among information that does not appear to be related at first glance. However, we must be certain that the links we find are truly related and not skewed to match our own theories and agendas. Healthcare is one of the most important and relevant fields when it comes to big data. Predictive analytics is one of the greatest new assets in the field. This is the ability for professionals to use data to find possible health hazards for their patients and actively combat and avoid them. If a doctor can see what is occurring in the environment around their patients, it can make finding and diagnosing problems much easier. Some hospitals use predictive analytics to evaluate relationships across numerous fields, including lab results, patient histories, diagnoses, and medications, and the observations of nurses to make the best possible treatment decisions. Although not predictive analytics per se, Google, through the monitoring of online searches, was able to create an estimated flu tracker. This program charted where a flu outbreak was and where it was believed to go next. There were some questions of its accuracy, but this is an example of how big data can be used for a positive future. Globally, big data allows us to look at numerous variables and try to find correlations. For instance, the example I have here on the screen is a presentation by Hans Rosling, a renowned statistician. He is currently analyzing the relationship of income and life expectancy. Humanitarian efforts can greatly benefit from big data. Areas of need can be more readily identified, and possible solutions may be more apparent. From an economic perspective, big data has existed for quite some time. The markets are always analyzed. Statistics most certainly rule in financial sectors, and big data allows for more information than ever before to be analyzed and factored in variables Just consider how the country's economic health is watched and calculated. Privately, big data is largely made up on transactional data. This data is monitored and analyzed predominantly to help individual businesses. From a marketing standpoint, big data is a tremendous aid. For example, Target has perfected the ability to capture the business of newly expecting mothers. The company would cater to the individual searches, purchases, and registries of an individual. When they felt a customer was expecting, they would receive customized ads to attract them to Target for their basic necessities. Public safety. It is a fact that not every crime committed in the world is discovered. However, big data is helping to solve this problem. In one sense, the Internet of Things helps solve crimes in and of itself because more of the world is being monitored and tracked, which adds more to people's accountability. On a higher level, the ability to determine patterns in crime is helping police departments solve crime faster and at a lower cost than ever before. Globally, there's an issue of feeding a growing population. Big data can improve the efficiency of agriculture by increasing yields and maximizing the growth and outputs of individual crops. Additionally, weather tracking, monitoring, and predicting is now an advanced science, which tremendously helps farmers on an annual basis. Meteorology heavily relies on the Internet of Things and historical data. If you can think of any situation or topic in our world, there is something that big data can tell you about it. Those who interpret big data are some of the most powerful and influential people in the world. If a statistical researcher were to be thrown into any random field of study, they would still be capable of adding insight based just upon their data analysis. My final point today is more of a question to you. Do we have a responsibility to use this information at our fingertips for the betterment of society? Should data sets be available and open to interpretation from anyone? In many cases as a whole, the generator of big data is society itself. Therefore, does society have a right to see the data their participation has created? Or are companies allowed to take this data and profit off of it? In conclusion, we have discussed how and from where big data originates. We've discussed the perfectness and truthfulness of data. And we have addressed the power of big data to improve our world in many ways. I am confident that the potential benefit of big data to society will go much further than it already has. Our future is one that we will help create and shape along with big data. Thank you.